Hey guys! As promised, I am doing my demonstration on eggs. I thought that I would start by showing you how to cut up an onion my way because I do it differently than most. I, of course, protected myself with that wet washcloth. First, I start by cutting my onion in half. Now, I usually don't do this intricate of a cut of an onion for just an omelet. I usually go pretty simple, but today, for the purpose of showing you my way of cutting an onion, I am going to cut this a little bit more detailed. So I start by cutting this. Well, first of all, I cut it in half. Then I cut to, but not through, the end of the onion, or I guess the back side of the onion. You go crazy not to cut all the way through. Or crazy, careful not to cut all the way through. Then I take it, you can see it's still intact here, but it's cut into slices here. Then I cut it this direction. And of course, our tunnel method, being careful not to get your fingers. Now to dice this up into little cubes or dices, you just take it and cut across this way. Because of the cuts that I have made, it's automatically going to be diced up. See that? Super duper duper simple, really fast to do. Now you can see that the end of this is not cut, of course, so then you just take it and finish it off. Now I could take this and cut up the rest of the onion, but since I'm making an omelet just for myself and nobody else, I'm just gonna throw it in my pan, which, by the way, I've sanitized the entire counter. So putting that onion just on the counter, not a big deal. Yes, using my own homemade sanitation spray. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the pan. My favorite thing about making an onion is being able to saute this really beautifully so that the onions give the flavor to the omelet. I'm using oil as my fat because I cannot do butter because of Faye. So we're just going to oil up this pan, get it nice and coated, and kind of let it do its thing. So I just turned it on. I have about a medium-high heat going right now. Of course, I'm on a gas stove, which is much easier to control than the electric stoves we have at school. So this is going to heat up pretty fast compared to your electric stove. Now, I love, 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 love guacamole. I took just avocados, mashed them up. I added garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, and lime juice to this. And then I took it, put it in a piping bag, stuck it in my silicone tray, like an ice cube thing. It's for making candy, actually, and made little cubes and put it in the freezer. So then whenever I need avocado, instead of buying it from the store, like the holy guacamole, I can just simply heat this up in the microwave and eat it fresh. So we have our onions going. They're starting to speak to me or sizzle. I have my seasonings all ready to go. I put a few ingredients into my grilled onions. We go with some fresh cracked pepper, some salt. I don't go crazy with the salt. And my secret ingredient, which is a little bit of sugar. I know, you might think that's crazy to put sugar, but here's the thing. Onions will naturally, through osmosis, it will start weeping the sugar out of it. And we're trying to caramelize these onions, which means that we're taking the sugar and helping it to give this delicious, sweet, and browning effect to the onions. and the sugar helps that along. I didn't go crazy with it, but it definitely helps it along. My other favorite ingredient to work with, and if anybody knows me at all, they know how much of a garlic-aholic I am. Minced garlic. Not garlic powder, not granulated garlic, but minced garlic. It's going to give the onion such a wonderful flavor. And we're very, very, very close to being done with these onions. So I'm going to turn the heat all the way down. Now you can see it's barely there. If I were on an electric stove at this point, I would just have to completely take it off the heat because it's still going to be hot until it very slowly works its way out of being hot. So I can do that right now. I'm going back here. I have become very creative with the things that I add to my omelets since I can't use dairy or soy. So I've become very obsessed with pepperoni. Believe it or not, pepperoni is good in salads, it's good on omelets. Now, you're probably thinking there's lactic acid in pepperoni, and that's technically dairy. But for some reason, it doesn't seem to bother Faye, so we're going with it. Give it a good cut here and there. That's it. Go back to the stove. You have to, sprinkle it all out there because it gets all stuck together and wants to clump together. And we're going to turn the heat back up. And we're going to cook it a little bit because pepperoni is so much better tasting when it's cooked a little bit. When I put it in my salads, I don't actually cook it. And yeah, it's still good, but oh, that cooked pepperoni is the best. Now, many of you are probably wondering, where's baby Faye? She was in yesterday's video. Well, let me tell you, she is making an appearance right now. Ha! She's sleeping. So we're keeping an ear out for her. Alright, so the pan is hot enough to continue to cook this pepperoni and caramelize the onions a little bit more. So I'm just simply going to turn it off and move it back here. We're going to add our omelet making pan. We're going to go with, to start out, a higher heat. Kind of get this pan warm. I'm going to put some olive oil in here too. I mean, I can't work with the butter, unfortunately. I wish I could. And we're going to add some, well, not actually add some, but we're going to spread this around with our handy dandy paper towel. And if I have not mentioned these rubber scrapers yet, the most amazing rubber scraper in the world. Bought them on Amazon because I was so sick of my rubber scrapers, like the heads falling off of them or them melting in the pan because they're not heat temperate, or those rubber scrapers, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about, that aren't flexible. Oh, these are so flexible. I'm in love. If there was a way to be in love with a rubber scraper, I would be in love. So because of the fact, turning the heat down, because of the fact that I am on a gas stove, I can simply use the fire on the sides of the pan underneath to help cook this egg. I'm sure when you learned how to do the omelet in class, you probably took the rubber scraper and pushed the egg in and pulled the egg around it and underneath it, the liquid part, which is what you have to do when you have an electric stove because it's just not as versatile as the gas stove. But it's kind of nice to see this. I don't know anybody who teaches this method. In fact, I would like to say I created it. I'm sure other people have done it in the past, but I've never been taught this way by anybody else. I just kind of started doing it myself. Helps to make your egg a little bit bigger, especially in this small pan that I'm using. And gets rid of, I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. I just love it. If you ask my friend Ashley, she would say the same. because she does it too at home. Woohoo, Ashley. So notice my egg is mostly cooked. And I'm not ready to flip it yet because you're not supposed to flip it until it's completely set on this side. Otherwise, you're just gonna break your egg into a million pieces. So I'm gonna turn the heat way down so I can add my seasonings at this point. One of my favorite seasonings to add to egg is minced onion. So I add it right now while there's still a little bit of liquidy egg left so it can grab onto this minced onion and hold on to it, first of all. And second of all, this is dried, so it's going to reconstitute it with the liquid from the egg, meaning it's going to turn it back into a fresh onion because it's going to add moisture to it. I'm also going to add garlic powder. Yeah, garlic inside, garlic outside. Love garlic. Some salt. Now cooking is all about seasoning and layering your seasonings as you go. And some pepper. This time we won't be using any sugar because it's absolutely not necessary. Now if I were a cheese eater right now, when I added the minced onion, I would also add sprinkling of shredded cheese. That way when I flip it, it's going to make that delicious, wonderful, amazing burnt cheese that everybody loves so much. Let's take a look at our, yeah, that guacamole's ready. Nice and soft. And it appears that our egg is 100% set. You don't see any liquidy left. So as Julia Child from class has said, no fear, just flip her over. Now, I've turned off the heat completely because this is cooked enough on the other side where it doesn't need the heat anymore. And I'm going to add my guacamole. At this point, if I were, again, a cheese eater, I would add a bunch of cheese right there. Oh, I'd put the guacamole up here because, yes, I'd still put that guacamole. If you have fresh tomatoes, the juiciness from the tomatoes is quite delightful. I also like adding tomatoes. But, I mean, I don't really have fresh tomatoes right now. They're really hard to keep because of the fact that they want to go bad and I don't use them fast enough, especially since I can't use cheese. Oh, so sad. Alright. Our filling is inside. Just run this rubber scraper. Now we're going to take this and flip it like that. Beautiful. Again, the heat is off. So this has been cooking a little bit longer on its own accord. And we are ready to plate it. Stick her on my cutting board. Very carefully, just slide her off. That is my beautiful, delicious, wonderful, amazing omelet. So simple to do. So many people are afraid of making omelets because of the flip aspect. Where people go wrong is that they try to flip it too early. That egg has to be completely cooked on both sides for the most part before you flip it so it has that strength. All right, we're done with our second live video. Take you off my, see, take a look. That's what we were hanging from. See ya.